Welcome back, my homies, my coding ninjas. Another coding exercise. Yeah, it's time to work. Yeah, this is another coding exercise. Once again from Codewars.com, the standard in delivering coding exercises. There is no other site. Fuck LeetCode. This is it. I do LeetCode, but yeah, Codewars is better. So I'm gonna just put it out there. Although I don't really dislike LeetCode, but Codewars is better. It's being kind of inflammatory, but whatever. We sit here with consecutive vowels in a string, Python exercise, done in Codewars, of course, like I just said. Stop saying the same thing, right? Okay. Description. You're given a random string of lowercase letters. This is a good exercise, by the way. I didn't do it that well, but it's a pretty good one. I don't like my algorithm, but it is what it is. You're given a random string of lowercase letters. Your job is to find how many ordered and consecutive vowels there are in the given string beginning from A. Keep in mind that the consecutive vowel to U is A and the cycle continues. So you're given a string, all lowercase, and your objective is to find how many consecutive vowels there are. What that really means is consecutivity, if that is a word, means not vowels in a row, it is vowels in sequence, like the sequence of A-E-I-O-U, that sequence. So the job here is to look through the string, and you look for an A. That's always going to be your beginning point. You look for an A, and then from there you look for E, then I, O, U. You have to look in for this sequence. So it's not about consecutive vowels, it's about the vowels sequential. I guess you could say alphabetically sequential. And then once you get to the U, it wraps back around to the A. So after you found a U, the next one that you're going to look for is an A. That's how you're going to approach this. Like if you look at this string here, we look for the first occurrence of an A, which conveniently is at the beginning of the string. And then we look for an E, or next we look for an E. I can't even say it. Then we look for an I. Then we look for an O. And we just zero in on this sequence. That is it. Look for that sequence. And then once you get to a U, you flip back around to an A. That's what this part means. Keep in mind that the consecutive vowel to U is A, meaning the next after U is an A. And then the sequence continues. So you look for that sequence and you count the number that are in a row. Like this would be, A would be 1, E 2, 3, 4, and then you keep counting. You basically you look at your string and you find the sequence, and you find like how many basically characters in the sequence can you find in this string, and you got to wrap it around, of course. Now I wanted to kind of hop into that example because it's really better than the initial example, and now that you have that example, we can look at we'll look at one of these cases, I guess. The first one, conveniently. Let's check it out, folks. You're given the string blah blah blah, and the logic is that you start from the A and make your way right. The next vowel is an E, and it is the consecutive vowel, then I, and so forth until you get to U. You keep moving right until you find an A, which happens to be the consecutive vowel. You return 6 because 6 is the the count of characters in that sequence. So really what you're doing is, like it says, you in any string you get, the first job is to find the first letter of the vowel sequence, which is A. So always look for the A. So we find an A here, and this is our first thing in the sequence. E, 2, I, 3, and then we look for an O. That's 4. We keep going, and then we're looking next for a U. Find a U here. That is 5. And then once we found that U, the sequence restarts. So the next letter we're looking for is an A, and we find that at the end, and there's your 6. So you see, kind of evidence of the wraparound effect there from U to A, and the fact that we're counting along, and we return the count of the, I guess you could say, the numbers of the number of characters in the sequence, like I was saying before. That's what we're doing. So we got to be able to take any string and find the number of characters in this vowel sequence that are within the string. That's what we do. Hope that helps, as they say on the internet, because that's all I got. I'm just going to do the damn code now. So if you don't understand, find a way. And I already have the code here, but I'm actually going to map it out step by step, because I feel like that's an easier way to understand here. So you're going to watch me code, and maybe you're not. Maybe you're going to leave, but I'm still going to be coding. So leave if you want. I'm not going to be one of those dudes that says like and subscribe. That stuff is lame. If you like the video, like it. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. And I ain't going to tell you to do that. It's silly. If you like it, you'll do those things. Damn it. Enough bitching, right? Get to the code. Okay, so there's our function header. And so I have to kind of spell out the sequence that I'm looking for. So I'm going to create a string called vowels, and I'm going to create the sequence where this is going to be the guide that I'm going to use to find the sequence within the string. I'm going to create several variables next. Next, I create several variables because they, of course, they're going to have different purposes here. Consec. This is the one that's going to count the characters in the sequence. And this is going to be my eventual return. That's what I'm going to return, because that's the point of the exercise. Return the number of characters you counted in the sequences of the A, I, O, U, the vowel sequence that may repeat itself. Start this is going to be always my starting point of finding the next occurrence. Because I'm going to be finding characters in the sequence character by character, but I always need a starting point to find the next character. Start is going to be that place for me. I'm going to find the next character based on this starting point. Initially, it's going to be 0 because I'm going to start at the beginning of the string. So you start at the beginning of the string, then you find your A, and then your next starting point is going to be one character past the A to find the E. That's going to be the point of start. Then place. What am I using place for? Oh yeah, this is going to be the index in the vowels string, because it's going to tell me where I currently am. Because first I'm going to be looking for an A, and once I found an A, I'm going to be looking for an E. Once I found an E, I'm going to be looking for an I. So I've got to maintain a place as I look through. as I search, basically. I got to know what I'm searching for, and place is gonna be the index of where I'm searching for. So I ended up doing a while true for this because, of course, you're gonna loop through the string to find the characters, but while true is kind of a cop-out to kind of like say, if I can't think of a good condition for my while loop, I'm going to create an endless loop, basically. And that's what I did here because I couldn't think of a solid condition to make for the loop. So it is what it is. Not great practice, but again, this is Codewars, this is practice, and nobody's watching. So hey, I'm going to do what I want, right? I could refine this, but no need to be perfect. This is not NASA launch code programming, so nobody's dying. All right. With this first line, I'm creating a variable I. I is going to be the index at which I find my next character in the sequence of vowels. And I'm using the find function. Now what I'm doing here with find is the arguments are vowels place, vowels index place. This is the current vowel that I'm looking for. And start is where I'm starting. Initially start's going to be 0. And initially vowels place is going to be A. So I'm looking for A starting at index 0. As I advance, place is going to move. Like place, when place is 1, it's going to be an E, then an O, and so on. That would be the one that I'm looking for at that point. And then start is going to change because once I find a vowel at a spot, start is going to change because I want to modify my starting point. I'm not going to start at 0 every time from the beginning of the string. I'm going to start further into the string as I move forward. But I is going to hold the index at which I find that character, that next vowel. And then so I'm going to put a condition here, and this is really going to be a condition on which I exit. Really, this is the condition of the loop. I'm just putting it in the middle of the loop rather than the header. I being -1 because I is going to be the return of the find function, and if find returns -1, that means I haven't found what I'm looking for, which means my next consecutive vowel is not there, which means I'm done looking through this string. And if I'm done looking through this string, I'm going to return the consec variable. And as stated up here, consec is the count of the characters. So that's what I'm going to return always. But if I'm not finding any more vowels in the sequence, I leave this loop and I return what I have found so far, or how many I have found so far. So if I don't get a -1 from find, it means I found the next vowel. If I found the next vowel, then I'm going to move my starting point to 1 past where I found my last one. It's going to be 1 past well, actually, it's going to be 1 past where I last found a vowel. 1 past where I may not be correct English, but oh well. You know what I mean, right? I'm also going to move my place up 1 because place is the index in the vowel string. So I'm going to go from A to E, from E to I, and so on. So place moves up. Here I'm going to do code for the wraparound. Like if I'm at the end of my vowel string, I'm going to wrap around A. Yeah, some annoying dude's calling me. I'm going to wrap around U to A. and it's going to look like this. If place equals 5, then place equals 0. Whoops. Thought I was in another language. I'm doing this because if I'm on a U, my index is 4, I believe. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's index 4. If I get here, I'm going to increment that to 5, which means it's time to wrap around to A. So place equals 0, which is A. So that allows you to do the wraparound joint. And then finally, I'm going to do consec plus equals 1 because I've said because a lot, I think, in this video. I'm doing this because whenever you find the next vowel in the sequence, you add 1. The point of the exercise is to find the number of vowels in the sequence inside the string. And that is the loop. Once the loop exits, I'm going to return consec. And so, and this last return may not even be necessary, because I think it's always going to return here and only here. You know what? Let's try this one out. I'm going to try it with this last return removed. Sometimes rather than thinking through something, I'll just run it just to see, because it's less expensive on the thinking part, you know, mentally. The mental thinking, yeah, whatever that is. Oh, forgot my if. That's silly. Okay, yeah, I was right. So there was no need for that last return because this is only going to exit if I equals -1. There's going to be no other condition where it's going to leave. Hence the while true. So I don't need a return at the end. But that is your code, folks, as it says, correct. Hope you was able to follow this thing. It was an interesting journey. I like this exercise though, like I said early on. And I know you'll like it too. Post your own version in the comments that I know you're not going to make. But if you do, go ahead, dude. That's it for me, and that's it for you with this video. I'll talk to you next time. I'm out.